So, obviously, Monday night, the Politico story, Justice Alito's opinion leaks, and the discussion surrounding it almost immediately turns to who leaked, what was the reason for it, but also the danger involved in that leak. And this is why, Buck, I've been arguing what should happen is they should go ahead and release this opinion, and also Justice Roberts should join the opinion, make it 6-3, so we're not sitting at 5-4, because given how much intensity and the feverish nature of opinions associated with Roe v. Wade, my concern is for the safety of the 5 justices right now in the majority in that Alito opinion. Because if one of those justices were attacked by some crazy left-wing loon, then there could be significant consequences to them. Potentially, they could be assassinated, right? I mean, this is an awful thing to have to talk about, but this is why the leak was so dangerous to everybody on the court, and why I think Chief Justice Roberts should sign on to the opinion, make it 6-3, so it's not one person that is making a decision, 5-4, make it 6-3, and go ahead and put it out so the opinion stands, okay? We know, Buck, now, there are a lot of people that are doxing where these Supreme Court justices live, and there are threats that they are going to be going to their house. It seems like an easy thing to say. That is inappropriate. We do not believe that should happen. Jen Psaki was asked about it, and this is what she had to say. We'll eventually hear from Jen Psaki.
Posted a map with the home addresses of the Supreme Court justices. Is that the kind of thing this president wants to help your side make their point?
Look, I think the president's view is that there's a lot of passion, a lot of fear, a lot of sadness from many, many people across this country about what they saw in that leaked document.
There's a lot of cowardice from Jen Psaki, from this White House. What's really going on here is they know that the activist left and the donor base of the Democrat Party, if you've seen some of the money, when you start to look and see how much money there is in the pro-abortion lobby in this country, it's huge. And for Democrat politicians, this is a source of funds that they are not willing to cross, right? So even in a moment like this, they don't want to say, this White House will not say anything that upsets the activist pro-abortion left, even if it means refusing to stand with Supreme Court justices who are clearly under enhanced. I mean, imagine if this was being done in a different context for Democrat politicians. Imagine that there were groups, people with MAGA hats on who were gathering together and putting out, hey, here's where the following Democrat politicians live. We don't want them to pass this legislation that's coming up, so go circle their house and threaten them. We would be told that this was worse than the insurrection. We'd be told that this was
a natural outgrowth of January 6th.
This
is what happens in Trump's America, Trump's Republican Party. You know exactly what they would say. And that's why I think I speak for both of us, Buck. I don't think anybody, regardless of their politics, should have people showing up at their homes, screaming at them, yelling at them, Democrat, Republican,
I got to tell
or
you something, actually. I lived in D.C. for part of Trump's. I lived there for about half of Trump's 4 years, right? And there were a series of protests that would occur because I found out they were looking for actually our friend. I don't even know if he knows this. I should have told Stephen this. They thought that they were protesting Stephen Miller's apartment, but they were actually protesting under my window. They didn't know who I was, thinking that was the side, because we lived in the same building, thinking that was the side where Stephen Miller was. And these lunatics would show up and bang pots and hit.
What time would they be there? Like, what was that experience like?
Oh, in the evening. They would usually get tired at some point. I think the cops would eventually say, like, you can't keep people up all night, because this isn't downtown D.C. This isn't this isn't a city. But also during the Trump administration, it was not only was it normalized. I know Democrats. We could go back. We could pull the tape. Democrat pundits, Democrat politicians.
Oh, Maxine Waters. Remember when Maxine Waters was like, get in their face, confront them? I mean, this was when you weren't allowed to eat in a restaurant.
This is when you were Sarah Huckabee Sanders, I can't remember her name, but she was then, I think it was the DHS acting chief under Trump. Or there were women, females actually, who were senior Trump administration officials who had lunatic mobs chase them, scream in their faces in restaurants, threaten them. I remember there was a place, Ted Cruz got chased out of a place by lunatics. Right. And then that Italian restaurant, actually, I forget the name of it. I think it might have been Fiola in D.C. They actually invited him back and said, sir, we're sorry about what happened. So, they tried to make amends for the lunacy that occurred there. It was normalized under Trump. This doesn't happen to Biden administration officials because I hate to, there's just more psychopaths on the other side, friends. Their ideology embraces emotional psychopathy, and they won't rein them in. Jen Psaki won't tell them to cut it out.
I also think that Republicans, I don't see how, regardless of politics, if you're showing up, I think this happened to Josh Hawley, senator from Missouri. People showed up, and certainly happened to Tucker Carlson, but they had kids in the house, right? And the protesters show up and start beating on the door or chanting outside. This is really indefensible behavior to me, regardless of what you think of someone's politics, Democrat, Republican, Independent. That you would show up at someone's home is totally wrong. And the fact that Jen Psaki won't say, hey, we understand that there's a high level of emotion going on right now, but it's not appropriate to show up at people's private residences and scream and yell at them, because here's what you do, Buck. You create situations where violence is more likely, right? When you put people in proximity to those Supreme Court justice homes, I hope that they have a great deal of security with them right now, but your typical Supreme Court justice is not protected, to my understanding, by Secret Service. I hope they have it now, but usually...
They have U.S. Marshal protection.
But they can go back and forth without having to have a security guard
they don't
them.
have... It's not like the Secret Service or the president.
Right.
Or anything, yeah.
And so my hope is that they've increased the overall security presence that they have there. But this is really, really an awful thing to not be willing to condemn. This is a radical position that Jen Psaki should be ashamed of. And to me, it ties in, Buck. Remember when Biden refused to condemn people following Senator Kyrsten Sinema into the bathroom and beating on the doors and chanting at her over her opinions on Build Back Better and beyond? This is crazy.
Clay,
not to be accepted behavior.
And then on radical positions, this is a radical position, but we should come back and talk about how this White House responds to a very straightforward question on this issue of what do Democrats really believe when it comes to abortion? What do they actually think should be codified into federal law now through Congress?
Yeah.
That's what they're talking about. This White House should have a very clear answer. We will come back and tell you what the White House, through the soon to depart, by the way, she's about to get a job at, I think she's getting a show at MSNBC, Jen Psaki. She's
That's
leaving.
right.
And her replacement is a female African-American.
Gay black woman, which is a big deal, evidently.
And, well, just get ready. Any criticism of the White House press secretary going forward is going to be homophobic and racist. Just be ready for that. Anything that Clay and I say criticizing the words that come out of the White House press secretary going forward is evidence of bigotry and being a bad person. That's how the Democrats do it, as we all know.
There's no doubt. And by the way, we've crushed Jen Psaki because she has a lot of indefensible positions, and we'll crush the new White House press secretary the same way.